This week, we geek out to Star Wars The Force Awakens, why that new trailer was not really meant for you, the lingering questions that it answers, and how that fictional tie to Nazi Germany took on a literal meaning this week. Plus, Disney starts its own streaming service, that, and much, much more. For the week of October 26th, this is episode 49 of the Disney Movie Review.
To infinity and beyond!
I'm gonna wreck it!
I am Iron Man.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow. La-la-la-la.
Try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
That was totally wicked!
Star-Lord. Who?
All it takes is faith and trust and something I forgot. Just a little bit of pixie dust.
Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, Ken Jones, and welcome to another episode of the Disney Movie Review, your source for news and reviews of the movies from all the Disney properties, including Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. If you love Disney movies, my friend, you have come to the right place, and I hope I can bring just a little bit of Disney magic to your day. 49 episodes. I gotta tell you, I did not think I'd get this far, and I'm hoping I can actually be here to make it for episode 50, but at the rate, most things are happening with this pregnancy, I may not be around for episode 50, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to actually be here for episode 50, but as you know, if I'm not here for episode 50, I am going to be giving you guys interviews. That's a big reason we're not having any interviews during the month of October. It's because I've been working on getting interviews so that while I'm gone, you guys have stuff to listen to, and I tell you, some of these interviews are just phenomenal. Some of these interviews, I'm just so excited for you to hear them and get your reaction because I love them. I think they are just phenomenal. All right, show notes today are going to be on the DisneyMovieReview.com/49, and I don't even need to ask if you saw that trailer. I know for a fact you saw that trailer. 128 million people saw that trailer within 24 hours. That smashes the previous record of 88 million views for a trailer in 24 hours, which belongs to, surprise, surprise, Star Wars The Force Awakens. In fact, The Force Awakens broke every single trailer record you could imagine, and it started breaking ticket records if you were one of the people like me who tried to buy tickets as soon as that trailer came out. You quickly found out how difficult it was because Fandango sold 8 times as many tickets as it did for the previous record holder, which was The Hunger Games. And if you recall, in episode 44, we were talking about how people were saying they were more excited to see The Hunger Games than they were to actually see Star Wars The Force Awakens. Well, turns out maybe that's not exactly translating into ticket sales because Fandango sold 8 times as many tickets as it did for The Hunger Games. It sold 8 times as many tickets for Star Wars The Force Awakens as it did for The Hunger Games. AMC, the nation's second largest movie theater chain, AMC has sold out more than 1,000 shows as of this recording. More than 1,000 shows, and it hasn't even been a week. This movie does not come out for 2 months. More than 1,000 shows are already sold out only at AMC. IMAX, $6.5 million in advance ticket sales. Is it clear to say that people are excited about Star Wars The Force Awakens? Of course, that is clear. That is clear. But what is not so clear is who, what is clear? I'm going to say it's not so clear, but it really is clear. What is clear is who Disney actually wants to see this movie, because I would like to compare and contrast the two ways that this trailer was released in the US and in China. Okay, so in the US, you have a Monday Night Football game between the Giants and the Eagles. Those are two of the NFL's biggest markets. You got New York and you got Philadelphia. Two of the country's really biggest markets right there. New York, Philadelphia. 16 million viewers. Okay? If this were last year's Monday Night Football, that would be the second most watched Monday Night Football game. 16 million viewers. Monday Night Football is consistently cable's most watched television series. Consistently. Monday Night Football, I think it's like 9 years running, they've been cable's most watched TV series. And in that, at halftime, that is where Disney decides they are going to debut this trailer. Okay, so they do that, and they debut it, and the internet goes crazy, and all these movie websites go down, and that is the way they do it in the U.S. Compare it to China, where they take over a part of the Great Wall of China. 500 iconic stormtroopers appear on the wall. You have these 4 huge Chinese characters, pronounced in English. They're Yan, Li, Zhu, and Jing. I probably pronounced all of those wrong because I do not speak Chinese, or Mandarin as it may be. Anyways, they put these huge characters up there, and it means The Force Awakens, and they have them on these towers. You have these 500 stormtroopers, and there they debut the trailer. Compare and contrast, who are they trying to get with these two different displays? Well, it's clear that for the die-hard Star Wars fan in the U.S., Disney was trying to get you to go somewhere. They weren't trying to come to you. They were trying to get you to go somewhere. In China, Disney was trying to make an experience for the Star Wars fan. They wanted it to be, if we're debuting this trailer, we want it to be an experience, something you're going to remember. We're going to take over the Great Wall of China. In the U.S., during a Monday Night Football game, granted, it's a Monday Night Football game during two big, NFL teams, but during a Monday Night Football game, it'll be a commercial during a Monday Night Football game. The trailer actually played from 10:08 to 10:11 Eastern. By 10:20 Eastern, 2 million people had fallen off. 2 million people closed, we're done. Turned off their, sets, we're done for the night. That's all they wanted to see. 2 million people left after they showed that trailer. And so it was clear, it's very clear that Disney was trying to get people to go to ESPN. Now, is this a big ploy by Disney to save ESPN? Probably not, but it couldn't hurt. It was announced this week that ESPN is going to be laying off about 300 people. That's about 4% of the company's workforce. And apparently these cuts are going to be across the entire units of ESPN, but it's not going to affect any shows or on-air talent. So I'm not really sure how you could say it's across all units if it doesn't affect the on-air talent at all. But they're saying that this is going to put them in a position to make the most of opportunities to build a future for ESPN. So is it by accident that they actually put this trailer during a Monday Night Football game on ESPN? I don't think so. I think Disney is playing a long-term game with ESPN. Okay, Disney is working to set up its streaming service, and I didn't get to see the trailer. I didn't get to see it on ESPN. So I don't know what kind of advertising they were doing actually during the game, but I can guarantee you Disney was starting to set up during that game as people were watching it, looking for the trailers, looking for the commercial breaks. Disney was setting up the things that they're going to be doing with ESPN, really teasing heavy their content that they either have online or on the air with ESPN. Because Disney is playing this long-term game with ESPN to try to make it be successful. They announced this week that YouTube announced this week that they're going to have this ad-free subscription service called YouTube Red. So you can pay $10 a month or something like that, and you're going to be able to watch videos without ads. ESPN pulled their content from YouTube upon that announcement because they are currently going to say they're not going to be part of the Red service due to legal agreements. Now, is this part of TV contracts or streaming exclusivity? Probably. This probably has to do with both TV contracts and streaming exclusivity because ESPN right now cannot start their own streaming service because of the cable contracts that they have. If they pull their content from the air and start to stream it online, the cable contracts, the cable services could say, okay, we're going to put you in a different tier and make people pay more for them, a tier like a HBO or something like that, which will hurt ESPN's bottom line even more. So ESPN is kind of in this tight spot. They can't take advantage of a YouTube Red offer, and they can't necessarily start their own thing just yet. So they're doing a long-term thing, hence actually putting Star Wars The Force Awakens on their ESPN property. You notice they didn't put it on the Disney Channel property. They didn't put it on the ESPN. Wins with every demographic of male, like every major male demographic. ESPN Monday Night Football usually wins the night. So Disney was like, we're going to put this trailer where we're going to have the most success. Most males are going to like Star Wars. And we're going to show them, hey, there's another Star Wars movie coming out. Because, again, only 2 million people fell off from that thing. That means there's 14 million people who were watching the game just for the game. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe 7 to 10 million people knew about the Star Wars trailer. And I'm too far into this, so it may even be less than 7 to 10 million people, 7 to 10 million in that demographic who knew about this. I'm pretty far into this, as you can tell, so it may be fewer than that. But what's clear is that Disney wants to get this out to people who have not seen it, and they're not worried about you or me seeing this trailer. They know that I know it was going to debut on the 19th, and that I was refreshing Fandango over and over and over again, waiting to buy tickets. They knew that. And even as of this recording, all the show times at my local theater are not sold out. So I would assume a lot of people either don't know about it or aren't excited about it for some reason, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But, yeah, I mean, that trailer was not necessarily for you and I. It was for the most casual Star Wars fan to get them excited again about Star Wars The Force Awakens. All right, so all this week, I normally insert, music in between things. This episode, let's insert some random clips of the trailer. So we're going to go through the trailer a little bit here.
Who are you?
I'm no one.
I was raised to do one thing. But I've got nothing to fight for.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the trailer and what questions it answered and what things we still have left to be answered. Because the trailer obviously opened on Rey, who is Daisy Ridley, and she looked instantly. People were like, she looks like a Tusken Raider. She looks like one of the Sand People from the original Star Wars from Episode 4. She definitely looks like a Tusken Raider in that area. And you could see as they start to follow her, it's clear Rey's going to be a major part of this movie. I mean, she's going to be, if not the protagonist, if Finn, who's John Boyega, if he's not the protagonist, that stormtrooper, the black stormtrooper, who we'll get to in a little bit, if he's not the protagonist, it's definitely going to be Rey. And people seem to be pretty confident that Rey is going to be the protagonist, the person that we're actually following in this, even though Finn is the one who gets to hold the lightsaber in the trailer. And so people instantly hit on that. Okay, Tusken Raider, you got Finn, who takes off his stormtrooper helmet. We've seen him before in the stormtrooper armor. That's cool. Kylo Ren gets to talk. Now, we knew he was going to be, Kylo Ren's played by Adam Driver, and we knew Kylo Ren was going to be this, Vader-esque figure. Like, he was going to be really, really enamored with Darth Vader, and he has this Vader-esque voice, I will finish what you started. Like, all that stuff. Really cool when you got to hear him talk. Another cool thing is that they chose Princess Leia's love theme to do all of the action over in this trailer. It was, the theme where Han says, I know, where Leia says, I love you, Han says, I know. It is that theme where they chose to do all of this action over, which kind of makes it feel like there might be a little bit of a romance that happens between Finn and Rey. I'm not going to say that definitely happens, but that's another theory that I saw. Definitely some hints of a romance going on there between Finn, the stormtrooper, and Rey, the quote Tusken Raider sand person, blah blah blah. The other thing, as far as we're talking about love, is that Leia and Han are obviously still an item. You see Leia crying, you see Han holding her close. We don't know why she's crying, but we do know that she's being comforted by Han, and so you have this whole thing of Han and Leia in theory together. And what a lot of people are saying, and I don't know if this is true, but a lot of people are saying that Rey is the daughter of Han and Leia, which would make sense. But then there's some other aspects of it that don't exactly make sense. One of those is that the Jedi are mysteriously absent. You have that line with Han saying, it's true, it's all true. The Jedi, the dark side, it's all true. Why would Han, if Rey is Han and Leia's daughter, why would he not tell them? Why would one of them not tell them about the Jedi? Why would she not be trained as a Jedi? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You have your uncle Luke. You have Leia, she's handing her the lightsaber. Why would you not why would they not be trained in the ways of the Force? The other thing about Uncle Luke, he's mysteriously absent from the trailer. Now, for the longest time, we have assumed that this shrouded figure who puts a hand on R2D2 is most likely Luke. Okay? He has the right hand missing. That's the hand that needs to be missing for Luke Skywalker. The hand is a little bit more animatronic than Luke's hand was. Luke actually had a fleshy hand, but the shrouded figure that puts a hand on R2D2, everyone said that is Luke. Recently, upon this past trailer coming out, the big fan theory is that Kylo Ren may actually be Luke, that the villain may actually be Luke. All sorts of cool things around this. It goes to Luke following in the footsteps of his father, going to the dark side. Could be why Kylo Ren is so obsessed with Darth Vader. Now, it is not very likely because Adam Driver plays Kylo Ren, and we know that. Adam Driver is only 31, and so if we have Luke Skywalker playing Kylo Ren, it's a much, much younger Luke Skywalker. And we know that Mark Hamill's in this movie, so it would be a much, much younger Luke Skywalker. But it still goes to the thing of, where are the Jedi? How did they become mysteriously absent in this outer part of the galaxy? We know it's an outer rim planet. Some of the smaller things people noticed, where's C-3PO? Again, we don't get C-3PO. We know he has this red arm, kind of gets injured or something like that, but we don't see him. We know he's going to be in the movie. Where is he? Chewie has a bandage around his arm. How'd he get hurt? In all of the, 6 movies, we've never seen Chewie get hurt. Apparently, this is a big deal. How did Chewie get hurt? And then the big question that I had a while ago, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, is how are there stormtroopers of different races? All the stormtroopers were clones. We know that from Star Wars Episode 2. How did we get to this place where we have stormtroopers of different races? It's a huge question that came up during this trailer, and we're going to talk about it after we play some more clips of the trailer.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Okay, obviously that is more clips of the trailer from Star Wars The Force Awakens. And okay, so we're going to talk about this whole thing of different races of stormtroopers. And basically, if you don't know what happened, it was the morning of, so it was October 19th, the morning that the trailer was going to debut. And there was something that was trending on Twitter that was hashtag Boycott Star Wars V11, which is Boycott Star Wars 7. And so I was like, what is this? Boycott Star Wars? Why? What are people saying? Jar Jar Binks, J.J. Abrams, midichlorians? Why are people wanting to boycott Star Wars Episode 7? Well, apparently, people want to boycott Star Wars Episode 7 because John Boyega, who is black, and Daisy Ridley, who is white, apparently end up together. There apparently is some sort of a romance that happens, and they apparently do end up together at the end of the movie. And John Boyega obviously is black and is a main character in the movie, and some people did not like that. They were saying, Star Wars, this is, I looked at the trailer, and when I saw the trailer online on YouTube, the second comment that I saw on the trailer, Star Wars Diversity Edition. And that's what people are getting upset because they're saying that this is a diversity that is, I think they called it white genocide. I really think that's what they called it. I think they called it white genocide because John Boyega, a black man, is in this role and probably ends up with Daisy Ridley at the end. And now this goes back to that whole thing. You can just go to one place and say, humans are horrible. Like, I remember last week I just talked about Sanjay's Super Team and, how Disney and Pixar may get pushed back because they're putting something such as Hinduism front and center in this kids movie. And I was like, I was hoping people were better than that, but maybe not. And then when I woke up and saw this the very next day, literally the very next day, I was like, never mind. We're not past that. But then I read this article that actually traced this hashtag back to some people. And it made me think about the Nazis, because Star Wars The Force Awakens is based off of this idea that what if the Nazis, after leaving Germany, had regrouped in like Argentina and went there and decided to start a movement and decided to say, okay, we're going to come back. And so that's what Star Wars The Force Awakens is based upon, okay, now that Vader and the Empire is gone and the second Death Star is destroyed, these people go away and they start to, rise up. The First Order starts to rise up and try to bring back the Empire. And so it's estimated, if we go back in history, it's estimated that the official Nazi party, it's a political party. The official party was about 7% of the German population in the 1940s. 7%. That is not a lot. But it was supported by hundreds of thousands of nameless, faceless people. So that was allowed to grow because hundreds of thousands of nameless, faceless people supported it. If you go back and trace this Boycott Star Wars Episode 7 hashtag, it was started by like 4 or 5 people. 4 or 5 people started this hashtag. But then a large majority of people came back and said, this is stupid. You guys are dumb. No, we're not going to boycott Star Wars. I hope you do boycott Star Wars so that there'll be more room for me at the movie theater, so that I can go see it multiple times. Please do boycott Star Wars so that I can go see it. But it was this small percentage of people that weren't allowed, kind of were allowed to grow, but at the same time weren't allowed to grow because of hundreds of thousands of nameless, faceless people who decided to not support it. Now, there are still lots of nameless, faceless people who do support it. As I mentioned, second comment when I went to go see the trailer, Star Wars Diversity Edition, acting like this is some big thing, not knowing that Lando Calrissian was in the movies, not knowing that there were, hundreds of thousands of aliens and all these things. Like, it's so weird to call it Star Wars a Diversity Edition anyway, just to start with. But, that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, this is so cool to see that this movie that is based upon this group of people, this minority of people who gained power through, nameless support from hundreds of thousands of people. Now, this movement that is trying to shut it down because it has diversity in it has been squashed basically by hundreds of thousands of nameless, faceless people who are coming against that. I think that is so cool. I just think that is something, it's something that I definitely had to point out because I found it to be so cool when I saw it. Okay, last Star Wars story. Let's have some of the last random clips of the trailer.
The dark side. A Jedi. They're real.
The Force. It's calling to you. Just let it in.
Okay, final thing here before we get to Fast Flicks. Disney is launching a streaming service in Europe. It is going to be called DisneyLife. It's going to be basically like Netflix, and it comes out in 2016. Now, it's going to feature primarily older content from the Disney library of family-friendly TV and movies. Now, it's going to include Pixar movies and TV shows from the Disney Channel, thousands of Disney Channel shows, hundreds of movies, albums, books, but the Marvel movies nor the Star Wars movies are not going to be available on the platform. So most of this content on DisneyLife is available some other place in the UK, and both Disney Channel and Disney Junior are carried on, Sky TV, which is their, streaming content service over there. And a spokesman for Disney said that DisneyLife is designed to be a complementary service to its existing relationships with, Sky TV and Netflix and things like that. So the monthly fee for DisneyLife is going to be about $15. But you got to think that this is Disney going after Netflix a little bit, and just a little bit. You gotta kind of see that this is Disney going after Netflix, because in the UK and the US, Netflix is different. Just like, in a lot of things, the food is different in the UK and the US, the way we drive on the road is different in the UK and the US. Netflix is different in the UK and in the US. And in episode 44, we talked about, Netflix wanting to be the next Disney and how Netflix was going after China and that they wanted to be bigger than Disney. And I think, not saying that Disney wasn't working on this before, Netflix announced this, but I think, Netflix is going and Disney is going and saying, okay, sounds good. Let's launch this streaming service. Your move, Netflix. Because the big question I had back then was, what happens if Disney pulls their content from Netflix and goes to Hulu? What happens if Disney pulls their content from Netflix and starts their own streaming service? Well, they're apparently starting their own streaming service, which could possibly integrate ESPN in the later days. We know that Disney wants to put ESPN on a streaming platform. What's to stop them from taking DisneyLife and putting ESPN on there in a couple of years? That'd be some big competition for Netflix, which could technically complement some of the other things that Netflix does, because Disney is not going to have some of the same offerings that Netflix is doing. But at the same time, it could definitely skew and pull some people away from Netflix going over to DisneyLife if you have something that's of a comparable price and you feel like you're getting comparable value from it. I know for a fact that the kids section of Netflix leaves a lot to be desired, and I think a DisneyLife kids section would definitely rule the day. And so if I have a kid and I use Netflix mainly to entertain my kid, probably wouldn't stick with Netflix if there's DisneyLife out there. I'm just saying. So Disney is saying that they do not want to compete with other services, that this is going to be them complementing other services, that there's no plans to bring a DisneyLife-like service to the United States at this time. But again, that's at this time. That doesn't include, I mean, if this takes off in the UK, this could be, and this could be like, how recording studios often, when they have a new talent, they'll send them over to the UK, they'll send them overseas, and they'll see, okay, how do they perform over there? And if they perform pretty well over there, they'll bring them back over to the US, and then the US will get their first look at them and think that it's all new, but really they've been overperforming in the UK, US for a while. Or like that NFL star, he'll go and he'll be in like the European League for a while, and then they'll come over and then they'll play here, and they'll be like, oh wow, look at them, they're so cool. Yeah, I think that this might be something that's like that. Disney sending DisneyLife over to the UK, saying, okay, is this going to be good? What is it? What are people going to react to it? What kind of tweaks do we need to make? And then a couple of years, DisneyLife is now coming to the US. Disney has an app on, I know, Xbox, a streaming app. It is not very good. I would love to see something like a DisneyLife and see what it could do, how it could compete with Netflix. Okay, let's go to Fast Flicks.
Golly, that's amazing!
You know what's amazing? Disney World visitors can now get custom magic bands directly from Disney. Disney World is taking the design of its magic bands to the next level with the option to customize and personalize the bracelets. It's part of a fashion element of Disney's My Magic Plus program. So Magic Kingdom visitors can select 8 colors and approximately 40 Disney-centric graphics for their magic bands, and you can do this at the Tomorrowland Power and Light Co. location, which is basically the exit of Space Mountain. Next up here, Baron Zemo will not wear a mask in Captain America Civil War. So this is the villain in Captain America Civil War. Zemo is known for wearing a purple cloak around his face and body to hide the scars he received when a vat of his own creation called Adhesive X spilled on him. Actor Daniel Bruhl, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Bruhl, said the version of Zemo that will appear in Civil War is a looser adaptation and will not have his signature mask. Next up here, director Peyton Reed is in talks to return for Ant-Man and the Wasp. It marks one of the first deals surrounding Marvel's recently dated movies, all those movies we talked about in episode 47. Domestically, Ant-Man took in $178 million to become one of the top 10 movies of the year, and it also did solid business overseas to earn more than $450 million worldwide. Next up here, Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, was injured on the set of Captain America Civil War. He said it was his own mistake. He fell over and bashed his face in front of about 200 crew members. He was getting into position for his final shot, and as soon as they said roll cameras, everything went wrong. But he said he went ahead, did the shot anyway. They're probably just going to CGI out the blood. Very, very funny thing. He has a great sense of humor about it. Next up here, you could get an exclusive Star Wars poster at IMAX 3D AMC theaters. Now listen up here, because this is pretty specific. Anyone that purchases a ticket to see Star Wars Episode 7 in IMAX 3D from AMC on any Sunday from December 20th through January 10th will get an exclusive print from the movie as part of their, quote, Star Wars Sundays promotion. Now, you don't have to turn around and tap on your left foot or anything like that, but again, IMAX 3D from AMC on Sunday from December 20th through January 10th. Now, they just released the first of the 4 drawings. It's a cool one of Rey and BB-8 looking at the Battle of Jakku as the sun strikes over this, Star Destroyer, and there's this orange glow. Pretty cool. I'll put it in the show notes. Next up here, if you're going to buy a ticket for that, movie ticket prices are at their highest level ever. The average cost of a movie ticket in North America reached $8.25 for the third quarter of 2015. That's the highest ever for the July through September corridor, according to The Hollywood Reporter. The ticket prices are actually down from the April to June period, where the average ticket was $8.61. That is an all-time high for any time of the year, and it's not uncommon for ticket prices to fluctuate across the country based on the appeal of the movies in theater. But right now, prices are tracking to be at a record $8.34 for the final quarter of the year. It's never been that high for the final quarter of the year. I wonder if Star Wars is having, a little bit of an effect on that. Next up here, Make-A-Wish celebrated its 100,000th Disney Wish. It marks a momentous milestone in the organization's 35-year relationship with Walt Disney Company. Together, Disney and Make-A-Wish bring comfort and smiles to Wish kids and families when they need it the most. Nearly 8,000 Disney wishes are granted every year, including experiences at Disney parks, voyages on Disney Cruise Line, and visits to TV and movie sets. Fantastic organization, Make-A-Wish. 100,000 wishes with Disney. Next up here, Holidays Around the World returns to Epcot. It is a time-honored tradition, one of my favorite things, where you can go around World Showcase and learn about different holidays around the world, whether it be Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or tales from characters like Père Noël in France or the kind-hearted witch La Befana in Italy. It's a must-do if you're going to be in Epcot. It begins Friday, November 27th and ends December 30th, 2015. And finally here, our quick quiz question. Last week I asked you, in The Nightmare Before Christmas, who is the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town? You correctly answered Jack Skellington as the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town. This week's question is, what character from Alice in Wonderland says the famous line, "Most everyone's mad here"? And a lot of people say it's "We're all mad here." "We're all mad here" is actually in the book of Alice in Wonderland. But who says in the movie, which character says "Most everyone's mad here"? And that is going to do it for Fast Flicks.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it.
Okay, a fan did a supercut of all of the trailers from Star Wars. It's pretty cool. I'll put it in the show notes, but let's go out to that. As always, thank you, my friend, for joining us. The Disney Movie Review is brought to you by my wife, whose constant love and support keeps me going every single day. Don't forget to go over to thedisneymoviereview.com/iTunes to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast if you've been listening for 5 episodes or more. If you have not been listening for 5 episodes or more, welcome to the Disney Movie Review. We hope you stick around and enjoy it. We're on Twitter at DSNY Movie Review, Gmail at the Disney Movie Review at gmail.com, and all the show notes for everything we talked about is going to be on the DisneyMovieReview.com/49. That is episode 49. And just remember, my friend, no matter who you are or where you're from, keep believing in and working towards your dreams, because dreams can, will, and do come true if you keep believing in and working at them, and I will be right there working with you. I am Ken Jones, your host, and from all of us here at the Disney Movie Review, please have a magical day.